This video is sponsored by Shortboxed, the easiest and safest way to buy and sell comic books, both raw and graded. Download the app today using the link in the description. Reggie here, and I want to welcome you to another one of my videos. In this video, we are going to take a look at the top 10 most searched for comics on the Shortbox app. In my mind, if people are actively searching for a book, that is a sign of interest and thus demand. We also use some data from Shortbox to look at what people are purchasing, but that's a completely separate video. Now, with that mentioned, I will tell you there is one book on this list that is a most searched for book as well as a most purchased book for the month of October. We're going to break it all down in this video. Stay tuned. Number 10 on the list is Fantastic Four issue number 48. This book is the first appearance of the Silver Surfer and a cameo appearance of Galactus, both characters created by Jack Kirby and Stan Lee. There are presently fewer than 10,000 total copies of this comic graded by CGC across all labels. Number 9 on the list, and technically new to the list for this month, is Amazing Fantasy issue number 15. This comic is the first appearance of Peter Parker, aka Spider-Man, and a few other characters. The comic is a joint collaboration between Stephen Ditko, Stan Lee, and Jack Kirby, who did the cover and was published in 1962. There are fewer than 4,000 total copies of this comic graded by CGC across all labels. Number 8 is another Fantastic Four book. This one, Fantastic Four issue number 49, the first full appearance of Galactus and the second appearance of the Silver Surfer. This comic is also the first cover appearance for both characters. Just like the last two books, this comic has a low census count with fewer than 6,300 total copies graded by CGC. Number 7 on the list, Wolverine issue number 1, the limited series. This is the first solo Wolverine title and also the first mention of Wolverine's catchphrase, "I'm the best there is at what I do." There are just under 27,000 copies of this comic graded by CGC. A 9.8 currently commands a fair market value of $700. Number 6 on the list is X-Men issue number 1, published in 1963. This key comic features the first appearance of several popular characters, including Cyclops, Professor X, Beast, Marvel Girl, and Magneto, just to name a few. CGC has graded fewer than 6,200 copies of this blue chip comic, including two 9.8s. Number 5 on the list, Ultimate Fallout issue number 4. This comic is one of the most searched comics, but it is also one of the most purchased comics in the month of October. This book is the first appearance of Miles Morales, the Ultimate Spider-Man. According to Go Collect, this book has a fair market value of $1,600, but recent sales for the 9.8 have been lower than this mark. Number 4, Spawn issue number 1. You knew that this one was going to be on the list because it's almost always on the list. This comic is the first appearance of several characters, including Wanda Blake, Sam, Twitch, and of course Al Simmons, aka Spawn. Despite a high total census of more than 32,000 total copies, the 9.8 continues to maintain its value north of $160. Speaking of high census counts, that brings us to number 3, New Mutants number 98. This comic is the first appearance of Deadpool. CGC has graded more than 28,000 copies of this comic, including 1, 10, and 12 9.9s. The 30-day average for the 9.8 is $1,369. The number 2 book, Secret Wars issue number 8, another high census count comic. This one has just over 29,000 total copies graded by CGC, including 4 10s and 22 9.9s. The 9.8 of the Black Costumes Origin has a 30-day average of $547. And the number 1 book on the list, Hulk, issue number 181, the first full appearance of Wolverine. Despite a moderate census count of roughly 17,000 copies, this book continues to be in demand, which helps with values. When you look at the data, some of the 30-day averages are actually higher than the 90-day average. While this video primarily looks at what people are searching for, I did want to provide some insight into what people are actually buying, but I want to do it based upon publisher. As you would imagine, Marvel continues to dominate what is being purchased on the Shortbox app, specifically in the month of October, because that's what we are looking at. Marvel accounts for 63% of the total transactions. That is down 2% from the previous month, and Marvel has given up that 2% to DC, which currently counts 21% of the transactions. Image scores 6%, and all other publishers account for 10%. As you heard this video, I am curious if there is anything that surprises you in terms of what people are searching for or the breakdown and what people are buying based upon publisher. Either way, I want to encourage you to sound off in the comment section. If you leave a substantive comment behind, you might actually receive a $100 credit from my friends over at Shortbox. Every single month, they put me in a position to be able to give away a credit for someone to buy something on the app and to save them $100. Leave your comments behind and you might be the lucky winner that is announced on an upcoming live show, specifically on Comics Today on Wednesday. So be certain to leave a comment behind. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, I definitely want to encourage you to do that. And if you want to reach out to me, feel free to do so on Instagram at Reggie Collects. Take care.
This thing on? Mic check. I just want to make sure y'all can hear me clearly. Yo, should you practice art? Or should art be your practice? I had a question, so I asked it. Not to anyone specifically, but to my inner God, you know? The one that's gonna be a master. The one that's more than a rapper. The one that's an educator. The one that seeks enlightenment. He travels with concepts. He's got the mindset expansive. He understands that his time combined with travel and concepts makes his mind convex. Sort of like when you look at a brain scan. Straight off meditation, we was concaving until we had that eternal dialogue that created our dialect. Now we in distinct rooms of pure souls having them conversations. Synergy and combination.